My beloveds, come close. Closer still. Let me whisper something the wind has carried through centuries. God's power, my child, is greater than your darkest doubt. It is softer than despair and stronger than shame. It is the warm hand on your cold heart and the whisper in your mind that says, "You are not your pain. You are mine." You see, negative thoughts are like crows. They circle the skies of your soul, looking for a nest to settle in. They come with talons of worry, beaks full of lies. They perch in the corners of your mind and convince you that you are too broken to be blessed. But, oh, child, God is the storm that scatters them. Child, I want to tell you something sacred, something that lives in the bones of those who have been through hell and still learned how to hum, something that has rocked me in my sorrow and raised me in my silence. Listen closely now, for I am not merely speaking. I am remembering. There is a power. Yes, there is a power. A holy force, gentle and mighty, wrapped in mystery, cloaked in majesty. And it does not bow to broken hearts or tremble before troubled minds. No, it does not yield to darkness. It commands it. This power is God's. Oh, my dear, we live in a world thick with noise. Noise in the street, noise in the soul, noise in the mirror. And that noise, those little whispers and wild storms, they gather in the corners of our minds, painting lies on the canvas of our thinking. You are not enough, they say. You will never be more than what you are left with. You are unworthy of joy. You are unfit for love. You are too flawed for faith. But, baby, those are not your thoughts. Those are seeds planted by sorrow, watered by trauma, and pruned by the enemy of peace. And yet, God, in all his glory, his fire, his truth, can reach down into that mental battlefield and declare, "This one is mine." Let me tell you what I've seen. I've seen hearts wrapped in barbed wire learn how to beat with hope again. I've seen tired minds once captive to fear and shame, rise up like morning glory from the ashes of yesterday's pain. And it wasn't therapy alone. It wasn't just meditation. It was the breath of the Almighty moving through the mind, turning prisons into pulpits, turning fear into fuel, turning the wounded into warriors. There is something holy about how God rewrites the narrative inside us. You may be sitting in silence, trying to hold yourself together with brittle prayers and borrowed courage. You may think your thoughts are too far gone, too heavy, too unholy, too loud. But, beloved, let me reassure you, God does not need your silence to bring peace. He is peace. And when he comes, he does not come in haste or half-heartedness. He comes in full regalia, wearing the crown of truth, carrying a torch that burns lies at the root. He walks into the darkest corridors of your consciousness and says to every demon of despair, "You must go. You have no place here." You see, when God moves, he doesn't just remove the bad thoughts. He plants new ones. He whispers truth where lies once screamed. Where there once was, "I am worthless," he sings, "You are fearfully and wonderfully made." Where there once was, "I will never be free," he shouts, "Who the sun sets free is free indeed." And where there once was, "No one will ever love me," he answers, "I have loved you with an everlasting love." Now, I'm not saying the thoughts won't try to return. Even Jesus in the wilderness was tempted by voices not his own. But what I am saying is this: when God is in your mind, you are never alone with your struggle. You are never defenseless. You are never unarmed. You are clothed in power. You must know, my child, that God doesn't just show up in your victories. He shows up in your valleys. He walks into your mental chaos like a gardener tending a neglected field, pulling out the weeds of fear, trimming back the vines of bitterness, making room for joy to grow. And you don't have to know how to heal yourself. That is not your burden. You simply have to open the door. You open it with prayer. You open it with worship. You open it with the Word. You open it by saying, "God, I can't do this alone. My thoughts are too much for me. I need your mind, your peace, your strength. And child, he comes. He comes gently like dew on thirsty ground. He comes fiercely like wind through dry bones. He comes and he does what only God can do. He transcends the natural and touches the soul. He doesn't just comfort you, he transforms you. He doesn't just quiet your thoughts, he sanctifies them. And in time, you'll notice the change. Your first thought won't always be fear. Your first feeling won't always be dread. You'll wake up and realize joy got in. Peace moved in. Hope took root. And even on the days when the darkness comes knocking again, you'll know where your strength comes from. You'll remember, I have power, not mine, but God's. And his power lives in me. So, my darling, hold your head high. Let the winds blow, let the enemy whisper. For you are not a prisoner of your thoughts. You are the dwelling place of the divine. You are not your darkness. You are not your doubt. You are not your fear. You are his, and God's power. Oh yes, that eternal, boundless, unshakable power transcends every lie, every low moment, every lingering ache of the mind. You are loved, you are whole, and through God you are free. Fear is a visitor, a persistent, unwelcome visitor. It does not ask permission. It does not knock politely. It slips in through cracks in your heart. It whispers lies into your ear when the night is darkest, and it sits heavy on your chest when you try to breathe. It wants to own you, to claim you as its prisoner, to silence your song before you even know it's begun. But, my dear, let me tell you this truth. Wrapped in love and fire, fear cannot be fought with force. It cannot be smashed or silenced by sheer willpower. It cannot be driven away by yelling louder than it screams. You cannot outmuscle fear. You cannot outthink it. You cannot outpace it. No, the weapon that fear fears most is faith. Faith is the quiet revolution within the soul. It is the soft voice that says, "This too shall pass." Faith is the steady hand that reaches out when everything inside wants to pull away. Faith is the stubborn hope that refuses to be extinguished by the darkest night. When fear comes knocking, faith opens the door, not with hesitation, but with fierce courage. You see, when fear whispers, "You will fail," faith replies, "I walk by the light of the one who never fails." When fear shouts, "You are alone," faith whispers, "I am held in the arms of the everlasting." When fear screams, "You are powerless," faith proclaims, "My strength is made perfect in weakness." Faith is not a loud, brash force. It is a sacred stillness. It is a river running deep beneath the roar of the storm. It is the faith that Abraham had when he looked up at stars and trusted a promise not yet fulfilled. It is the faith that Moses carried through desert winds and wilderness trials. It is the faith that whispered in the night when Jesus prayed, "Not my will, but yours be done." And so must you. You must learn to lean not on your own understanding, not on the strength of your clenched fists or the sharpness of your intellect, but on the unshakable foundation of faith. You may have tried to fight your fears before, using everything you had, your pride, your anger, your relentless determination. And yet the fear remains a shadow in the corner of your mind, a weight on your soul. This is because fear cannot be conquered with force. It must be met with faith. Faith changes the battlefield. It changes the way you see your enemy. When you have faith, fear loses its power. It shrinks away like a lion without a roar. It becomes a passing cloud, not a permanent storm. You see, faith does not deny the reality of fear. Faith acknowledges fear, looks it in the eye and says, "I see you, I hear you, but I will not be ruled by you." The faith is a refusal to be defined by the dark thoughts that crawl into your mind. It is a declaration that even when you cannot see the road ahead, you will keep walking because God's hand is guiding you. You may stumble, you may falter, but faith will catch you. Faith will hold you steady when your knees grow weak. Faith will give you the strength to rise again when you feel like falling. There is a story of a woman, her name lost to history, who came to Jesus trembling with fear and desperation. She reached out, her hand barely touching his garment, and in that moment, her faith spoke louder than her fear. Her healing came not because she fought the fear with fists, but because she met it with faith. Like her, you must reach out. You must let faith be the bridge that carries you over the chasm of doubt and despair. And remember, faith is not always a blazing fire. Sometimes it is a quiet ember, glowing in the dark, waiting for your willingness to nurture it. Sometimes it is a single breath, a whispered prayer, a simple step forward when all you want to do is retreat. But that ember, that breath, that step, oh, they carry the power to change everything. Faith is a seed planted deep in the soil of your soul, and it grows in the presence of trust. It grows when you speak God's promises over yourself, when you remind your heart of His faithfulness, when you surround yourself with truth and light. You do not have to have all the answers. You do not have to see the whole path. You do not have to feel strong every moment. You only need to choose faith, because faith is the key that unlocks the door to freedom. Faith is the light that illuminates the way out of the prison of fear. Faith is the power that whispers, "You are more than your doubts." So when the dark thoughts come, and they will come, remember this: you are not alone. You are not powerless. You are not without a way forward. Faith will rise up inside you, like a mighty river, sweeping away the debris of fear. Faith will be your shield and your sword. Faith will be the song that lifts your spirit when the night feels endless. And in that place, where faith meets fear and stands unshaken, there you will find peace. There you will find strength. There you will find the courage to be free. So fight your fears not with force, but with faith. Fight them not with anger, but with trust. Fight them not with noise, but with the quiet power of belief. Because faith is stronger than fear always. And with faith, you will walk through the valley of your mind, not as a prisoner, but as a child of the Most High, free, fearless, and unbreakable. Oh, child, come close. Let me look into your eyes, those eyes that have wept in silence and stared too long at ceilings, while questions spun round like sorrowful lullabies. You've been carrying a weight that was never yours to bear. Someone somewhere, maybe life itself, told you that what you think is who you are. That if a thought passes through your mind, it must be true. But I'm here to tell you now, with all the love my spirit can pour out, you are not your thoughts, and your thoughts do not define your worth. You are not the sum of your fears. You are not the measure of your mistakes. You are not the shadow of your darkest day. Thoughts may visit, but they do not own you. They come like clouds, drifting through the vast sky of your mind, some heavy with rain, some light as cotton. But none of them, not one, holds the power to name you. Only God has that right, and what He calls you, child, is beautiful, whole, chosen. Beloved, there are times when your mind will be your battlefield. You will think yourself small. You will hear the echo of every insult, every failure, every bruise left by someone else's brokenness. And in those moments, you may believe the lie that your worth is wrapped up in your performance, your past, or your pain. But hear me. Your worth is eternal, because it is given by the eternal. A diamond doesn't stop being a diamond because it's buried in the dirt. A crown doesn't lose its value just because it's been forgotten in a box. And you, child, do not lose your worth just because your thoughts get tangled. God crafted you in light. He formed you in brilliance. When He knit you together, He was not distracted. He didn't make a mistake. You are not an accident. You are not a problem to be solved. You are a masterpiece in motion. Your thoughts may rage like storms, but beneath them flows a river of divine truth that cannot be shaken. You are more than your anxiety. You are more than your depression. You are more than your overthinking and overworking and over-apologizing. You are more than your mind says you are, because you are who God says you are. And what he says is not based on a moment, not based on a mood, not based on a memory. His truth is not temporary. It is eternal. Now I know. You've sat with thoughts that told you you're not enough. You've looked in mirrors and not recognized the face staring back. You've had nights when you couldn't quiet the noise, days when you felt numb and distant and unsure if healing was even possible. But let me take your hand. Let me tell you what the elders knew. There is a soul in you that cannot be touched by torment, a holy part, a sacred part, a God-breathed part that no thought can stain. You are not the voice of shame. You are not the echo of trauma. You are not what the world said in its moments of cruelty or carelessness. You are not what you feel on your worst day. You are not what you feared on your loneliest night. You are not defined by a mind that sometimes struggles to find stillness. You are defined by your Creator, and He calls you His. Listen now, listen with the ears of your soul. Even if your mind tells you that you're not worthy of love, love has already found you. Even if your mind tells you that you failed too much, grace has already covered you. Even if your mind tells you that you are lost, God is already holding your hand, ready to lead you home. The truth is, you're still becoming. You are still unfolding. Just as the flower pushes through dirt before it blooms, you too are rising through the weight of all that tried to bury you. And though your thoughts may try to hold you hostage, faith will always be your key. You see, the mind is a wondrous thing, but it is not your master, and it surely isn't your mirror. Your thoughts are not always true. They are not always kind. They are not always reflections of who you are. Sometimes they're just echoes of old pain, trying to be heard. But you are not an echo. You are the voice. You are the light. You are the truth walking in flesh. You are a child of the Most High God, and His love for you is not up for negotiation. It's not dependent on how clear your thoughts are. It's not swayed by how many doubts you have. It is steady, unyielding, forever. So the next time a thought tells you that you're worthless, pause and speak back. Say, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Say, I am not alone. Say, God's Spirit lives in me, and I am sacred ground, because you are, even on your messy days, even in your tangled thinking, even when your faith feels faint and your hope feels hollow. You are still His, still holy, still worthy. So walk tall, my love. Hold your head high, not because your thoughts are perfect, but because your worth never depended on them. You are free. Free to feel, free to think, free to grow. But most of all, free to remember this truth. Deep and divine, your thoughts do not define you. God does. And He has never called you anything less than magnificent. Come now, sit with me for a spell. Let us speak not as strangers, but as kindred souls. Hearts stitched with both tears and triumph, minds weathered by winds both fierce and tender. You have a mind, child, yes you do, and it is a grand house. A house with many rooms, rooms of memory, of imagination, of fear, of hope. Some rooms you visit often, others you've locked and thrown away the key. But every single one belongs to you. Now hear this, the room of your mind is not meant to echo only with your own thoughts. No, beloved, it was designed for divine company. You must invite God in, not as a guest who stays for tea and leaves when the dishes are done. Not as a preacher whose voice is heard only on Sundays. No, not like that. Invite Him as the keeper of peace, as the architect of order, as the healer who knows what's hidden behind every locked door. Because, child, your mind is sacred space. You don't let just anybody walk into your home with muddy shoes. So why let any and every thought run loose through the holy halls of your mind? You don't allow a stranger to rearrange your furniture or paint your walls without permission. So why let doubt, fear, and confusion redesign the place where your soul takes shelter? Invite God in. Let him be the one who lights the lamp in your darkest corner. Let him sit with you in the silence. Let him whisper truth when the noise of life gets too loud. Let him sweep out the cobwebs of old lies and mend the broken beams of forgotten dreams. Some folks think that faith belongs only in the heart. But oh no, child. Faith has feet that walk into the mind. Faith takes up residence in your thoughts, settles into your thinking, and becomes the melody humming softly beneath the static. God longs to dwell in the space where your thoughts are born. He longs to be there when doubt knocks at your mental door. He wants to answer for you. He wants to meet those uninvited guests and say, "There's no room for you here. This space belongs to me." But he will not force his way in. Oh no, God is a gentleman. He waits for your invitation. He waits for you to open the door wide and say, "Come in, Lord. Sit with me. Walk through every room. Touch every wall. Rearrange what you must. Remove what no longer serves me, and restore what has been forgotten." There are rooms filled with memories you've buried because they hurt too much. Invite him there. There are rooms filled with worry. Worry about tomorrow, about whether you're good enough, whether you've missed your purpose. Invite him there. There are rooms filled with anger. Resentment you thought you'd let go, but it clings like ivy on the walls of your mind. Invite him there. Because when God walks into a room, he does not merely observe, he transforms. He brings a broom for the clutter, a balm for the pain, a word for the silence. He brings light. Not the kind that flickers and fades, but the kind that reveals and heals. And listen, when God fills your mind, you begin to think higher. You stop repeating the mantras of shame. You stop reliving every failure like it's on a loop. You begin to hear a new voice, calm and sure, saying, "You are loved. You are chosen. You are enough." You begin to recognize which thoughts are yours and which were planted by others. Planted by fear, by the world, by a wounded past that never had the right to define your future. When God moves in, he does not come empty-handed. He brings clarity where there was confusion. He brings wisdom where there was wandering. He brings calm like still water to a stormy sea. He brings the mind of Christ, not just as an idea, but as a reality. He gives you eyes to see beyond your situation, ears to hear beyond the noise, and a spirit that refuses to be shaken. And no, it does not mean that bad thoughts will never knock again. They will. They'll try the windows. They'll test the locks. But they will find a home already occupied. A home where faith lives. A home where peace sings. A home where God is not just welcome. He is in charge. So don't wait for the mind to be spotless before you invite him in. He is not afraid of your mess. He does not flinch at your chaos. He steps over your doubts with grace and picks up your broken pieces like fine china. He says, "This is still good." He says, "This can still be used." He says, "I can dwell here. If you'll let me, let him in, dear heart." When you rise in the morning and your mind feels cluttered with yesterday, say, "God, come into this day with me." When the anxiety creeps in unannounced, whisper, "God, sit with me here." When the thoughts turn dark and you feel yourself spiraling, cry out, "God, speak light into this room. Speak peace into my mind." And he will. Oh yes, he will. Because he is near to the broken in thought, just as he is near to the broken in spirit. He is the God of the heart and the God of the mind. He is the comforter of your soul and the caretaker of your inner world. So today, let the invitation be spoken, with trembling lips or with quiet confidence. Say, "Come in, Lord." Say, "I need you not just in my life, but in my thinking." And then breathe. Breathe deep of the peace that enters when God walks in. Breathe deep of the stillness that settles when he says, "Peace, be still." And in that holy stillness, you'll remember, you were never meant to carry your thoughts alone. You were meant to share the room with the one who made you, loves you, and longs to bring light to even the darkest corners. So open the door. He is waiting. Now lean in close, child. Let me tell you something the world won't always say, but the heavens never stop whispering your words have power. Yes, they do. And when you use them with faith, they become like holy thunder, shaking the lies loose and making room for truth to stand tall. The mind is a battlefield, a theater, a storm, and a sanctuary. And every day, thoughts come like seeds. Some planted by God, some planted by fear, some dropped in by the world without even knocking. But it's your voice, beloved, your voice that decides what grows. There is no power greater than God's word spoken by one who believes, not whispered in fear, but declared in faith. You must speak his promises over your mind. When your mind says, I can't go on, you answer back with strength and say, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. When anxiety creeps in like smoke under the door, you declare, God has not given me a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Speak it out loud. Let it rise like incense from your lips. Don't wait for the world to affirm you. Don't wait for the feelings to change first. No, child. Speak what is holy until the atmosphere obeys. Speak what is written until your spirit stands tall. Speak the truth until your mind bends back toward heaven. There will be days when doubt wraps itself around your head like a heavy scarf. You'll wake up feeling low, feeling less, feeling like you're too broken to belong. And in those moments, the most radical act you can do is open your mouth and say, I am the head and not the tail. I am above and not beneath. I am chosen. I am his, not because you feel it, but because it is true. You see, truth is not a feeling. It is a force. And when it is spoken with faith, it becomes a sword in your mouth, cutting down the weeds of every lie that said you weren't enough. The enemy knows the power of your voice. That's why he works so hard to keep you silent, to convince you that you're too tired, too lost, too sinful. But hear me now, as sure as the sun rises, God's promises are not fragile things. They do not need perfect people to work. They need believing hearts and speaking lips. Speak when you're tired. Speak when you're doubting. Speak when you can barely whisper the words. Speak until the walls tremble, until fear bows, until joy dances back into your bones. There's a reason the old saints used to talk out loud to themselves. They knew something the world forgot. They knew the power of declaration. They'd walk the floor with tears in their eyes and still say, I know my Redeemer lives. They'd hum hymns in kitchens while pots boiled and babies cried, still saying, He will never leave me nor forsake me. They understood that speaking God's word was not a ceremony. It was a weapon, a rhythm of resistance, a song of survival, a declaration that even if the world tried to bury them, they would rise. And so must you. You must rise above the noise in your mind with the sound of God's truth. Write his promises on sticky notes if you must. Tape them to mirrors, tuck them in wallets, slip them into shoes. And when the mind wanders toward the edge, you pull one out and speak. Say, I am more than a conqueror. Say, He who began a good work in me will carry it to completion. Say, I have the mind of Christ. Because when you speak what God says, you're not just repeating words. You're opening a window. You're letting light into rooms where shadows once ruled. You're aligning your mind with heaven's reality. You see, the mind will often believe what it hears the most. So let it hear truth. Let it hear faith. Let it hear love, bold and holy, coming from your own mouth. You do not need a pulpit to preach. Your bedroom can become a sanctuary. Your car a cathedral. Your whispers in the night a war cry in the spirit. Speak over your mind, child. When depression tries to nest, speak life. When anxiety grips tight, speak peace. When trauma resurfaces, speak healing. Don't wait until the storm passes to speak. Speak in the storm. Speak through the tears. Speak while your hands still tremble. Because every time you speak his word, You're planting a new seed, and one day, without warning, it will bloom. Peace will take root. Joy will rise again. Confidence will break through the soil like sunlight cracking dawn. And you'll remember, yes, you'll remember that you were never powerless. You were just quiet. But now your voice has returned, and with it the promises of God echo louder than the lies. Speak, beloved, not just when it's easy. Speak because it's necessary. Speak because the mind can be trained to believe what is beautiful. Speak because God's word in your mouth is as powerful as it is in His. So declare it now. Say, my mind is not a prison. It is a garden, and God is the gardener. Say, I choose life. I choose truth. I choose to speak what my spirit knows even when my mind forgets. Say, I am free, because the Son has set me free. Speak it until your mind aligns. Speak it until heaven breaks through. Speak it, and let your own words be the chains falling off. Child, your healing is not just in the hearing. It's in the speaking. So speak, and let the power of God's promises, spoken through your own holy lips, restore your mind and crown your soul with peace.